Would you like to win and achieve success at what you do? Welcome to the Winner's Ways podcast, where we create winners every day. And now, your host, the author of Winner's Ways book and life coach, Bola Alabi.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Winner's Ways podcast. This is where we talk about your career, we talk about your money, and we give you life motivation to help you to excel. Again, today we have an awesome guest with us, and this guest is the money nav guy. We are going to be talking about money mindsets. I'm sure that you guys are going to benefit from this conversation. So without keeping you guys waiting further, I'm going to bring in my guest, Bob Wheeler. Hey, Bob, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. I'm doing well. It's so nice to have you join us today, and welcome to my show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So can you please introduce yourself to my audience so that they can get to know you better?
Sure. So I am a CPA by day. It's my day job. I have an accounting firm. We do taxes. I am the CFO for the world famous Comedy Store in Hollywood. And I also wrote The Money Nerve. I host a podcast called Money You Should Ask. And I do workshops. And really my motivation is to start conversations around money, because I find so many people don't really want to talk about money on a deeper level. And there are a lot of people that carry around shame and the fear of being the only one making poor choices. And so wanting to get these conversations going to start to see what's unconscious that's keeping us from what we want.
Awesome. So you talked about money mistakes. We've all been there, right?
Absolutely.
And the best way to learn is to learn from someone else's mistake, and you try as much as possible not to repeat the same mistake. So why do you like talking about money, Bob?
Well, I think I really like talking about money is because I realize so many people don't talk about money. Nobody talked to me about money. I had to just sort of figure it out. I had a curiosity about money. A lot of my friends are in the entertainment world, and there was a lot of shame around their choices, following their passion, not following the money. And I just realized how many people were holding on to this shame and beating themselves up just because they didn't get the financial download. Nobody taught them how to save or all these different things. And so I realized, wow, we're all just sitting around holding all this information. If we could start talking about it and realize that we have much more in common with each other in our fears and our desires and our hopes, the more we can bring it out, give it voice.
Okay. So now I know you have the moneynav.com and you wrote a book, The Money Nav. Can you just take us through that book? What is the takeaway from your book so that, people will know, if I get this book, this is what I'm going to learn?
Yeah, absolutely. So the book is really a journey through your financial history, through your financial story. And what we do is we explore your history. What did you learn growing up? What did your parents say or not say about money? Did you grow up in a religious background? Did you grow up in a hippie commune? Like whatever those things were that helped shape you as a child, money was good, money was evil. You had to have lots of it. There wasn't enough to go around. Whatever those stories were, we want to bring them back to the surface. And then we start looking at what are our fears? What are the emotions that trigger us? Do I get excited when I see money? Do I get frustrated? Am I worried about being judged if I'm successful? And then just start to unpack all of those things. A lot of my friends, I've done it too. I'm broke. You're broke, but you have a mansion in Beverly Hills and you're driving a really nice car and you're broke. So listening to the words that we use, because they unconsciously reinforce our story. And so in the book, we start to look and see what's true and what's story. And really work towards a healthier relationship with money, because there are many people that live off of a very small amount of money a year, and they're incredibly wealthy and they're incredibly satisfied in their lives. And there are other people making millions of dollars that feel empty and looking for any kind of way to get fulfillment. And so having a healthier relationship with money doesn't matter about the number of dollars you have. It's about that relationship with them.
Wow. You know what? That's very, very rich because my wife and I, we were watching a movie. I think it was last week. And we saw this guy. He has a band, probably making like $30,000 per year. And this guy is so happy with his life, pursuing his passion and doing what he enjoys. And there's another guy in that same movie, a Wall Street guy making millions of dollars. But despite all this money that this guy earns, he still struggles. He's still not always happy. And we came to the conclusion that it's not just about the amount of money you make, but the emotion that you attach to the money. And I think that's a message that you are also passing across. Now, let's talk about financial literacy, because one of the things that I try to tell my audience is, if you know how to manage your money, you can have peace, with your money. So can you share with us, how can people become, because really our educational system, they don't teach financial education, right?
Yeah.
So how do you think people can learn about how to manage money so that they can avoid all these money mistakes that we are talking about?
Well, I think the first thing you have to do is sort of get curious, right? If you're teaching your kids about money, make it exciting, make it something that they can see a benefit in the long run. This is something that's going to help you. And with ourselves, be interested. Hey, ask other people, what do you do? How do you save your money? How do you invest? I think the first thing, though, and people talk about it, and I always had a reason it wasn't me, right? The starting to save and pay yourself first. A check comes in and you take 10%, you put it away. Whether you put it in a bank account, it's just money you put away, and then you live with the rest. I always had an excuse. Well, there's this going on and there's that going on, and I'll do it next week. And when I get that bonus. And so for a lot of people, it's just taking that first step. And I tell people, look, I don't care if you just start saving $5. Like if your story is you can't save 10%, start with $5, $5 a week. And to your point, there's so many automated programs that will save $5 or $20, or they'll round up your money. And you just set up these automatic expenses that are putting money in your bank account. So when I do a budget, when I think about saving, I think of it as an expense, just like I think of groceries. And what I did was I set up several savings accounts and had $5, $10, $20 coming from each one. So it just felt like, oh, that's a coffee. Oh, that's a meal. And it didn't hurt me. And then as I saw the money growing, I thought, oh, I could do more. And what it helped me to do is when I'm about to spend money, I'll ask myself, is this serving me? Because would I rather this $25 go into my bank account or for an impulsive buy? And so I get more conscious about, I really want to build up some more savings. So I think I'm going to skip this. And so I really actually get really more intentional and conscious about how I spend my money, because I'm thinking that could be going into my savings account. I think that's the first place. Yeah. And that's the hardest to get started. We've all got a story.
Okay, so awesome. You see, you've shared several points, and what I try to do is break it down so that people will understand. The first thing, you spoke about budgets, which is very, very important. Budgeting is a way of telling our money where to go. You talked about saving. You said saving we should make it an expense, right? You talked about intentionality, and you talked about curiosity. That's a way to make money. If people are not curious, then they probably will not, have that mindset to go out there and find ways to make money. And I like what you said about starting small. when people want to start saving or investing, when you tell them, hey, you can start even with $10, some people will, $10 is not going to get to anywhere. But, by starting small and when you see it growing, I think that motivation will come and you'll be inclined to do more. So that's very, very important. Now, let's talk about your audience, the people that you are targeting, the people that you serve. Who are those people that, when they get on moneynav.com, they want to connect with you so that they can learn from you? Who are your audience?
Well, our major audience right now is more probably 32 to retirement age. We are starting to get a lot of younger people as well that want to start thinking about their future. But it doesn't matter what age you are, because the thing is, if you're getting to retirement age and all of a sudden you realize you don't have any money, fear sets in. If you are in, your 30s and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I haven't bought a house, or I haven't done all these things that I think I'm supposed to be doing, panic can set in. And so we have a lot of people coming to us trying to figure out, wait, how do I get back on track? All of a sudden I woke up today and 10 years have gone by. I woke up today and 30 years have gone by. And so now the thing is, let's get started now. There's no too late, other than if we don't take any step, that's too late. But getting up, even at 60 years old, I work with people and work on a budget and help them so that they can feel like they have control over their lives. And so we want to reach everybody. We've started to focus on younger people because I think there is such a lack of financial literacy, and to be able to share information that I wished I had been given when I was younger feels like really a step forward for everybody.
So when you think about, because at the end of the day, the whole deal about saving money, investing money, it's all centers around financial freedom.
Yeah.
When you think about financial freedom, do you think anyone can, attain that freedom? Do you think anyone has the opportunity to get to a point in their life where they say, hey, I have all the necessary money coming in, so I won't need to work anymore? Is that even possible?
Yeah, I think so. And, it's interesting when you say people don't, they won't have to work anymore. People joke with me and say, when are you going to retire? Have you thought about what your retirement is? I said, that's probably not going to happen. I enjoy doing what I do. So for me, it's not work. I actually enjoy working with people on tax strategies. I enjoy working with people on uncovering their money blocks and doing coaching with people. I love teaching workshops. That's not work to me. It generates income. I will probably always continue to do things that give me purpose, make me feel like I'm providing something to other people. But I do think as we get healthier in our relationship with money, we can have that financial freedom. We can have the ability to have free time to do what we want. And does it mean I get to have everything in the world at all the time? No, but I don't really think I want that. That's actually sort of boring in a way. And then I can't have anybody to hang out with me. If I've got everything in the world and everybody else is like, well, I'm not going to hang out with Bob. I can't compete with him. Right. But I want to have amazing relationships. I want to have great experiences. I want to make impact. I want to have impact, and I want to be in connection with people. And so learning to navigate my money allows me to have all of those things.
Awesome. You know what? You said something that I think is very important, and that's the question is not if you have to work, even when you've attained that financial independence or financial freedom status. One of my boss a long time ago, he calls it have to want to. To him, he said when he turns 60, he's going to ask himself this question: do I have to work or do I want to work? After is different. You must work because maybe without working, there's no more money. But I just want to work because sitting down all day, just getting up, waking up, eating, and that's not going to be fun at all. I know that.
No.
So I totally get it. So you've mentioned several things. You talked about coaching, you talk about tax tips, you talk about your workshop. So I'm going to go step by step.
Okay.
I want to, the tax season is just over. I want you to, please, if you will, share one or two tax tips to my audience so that, when people prepare for the tax season next year, they'll, when they remember, hey, Bob Wheeler said this is a good tax tip. So what tip do you have for us, Bob?
Well, if you're a wage earner, if you're earning W-2 income, and even if you're a self-employed person, it's definitely important to put some money into a retirement account to either get a tax break now, which would be an IRA or a SEP IRA, or put money into a Roth IRA, which is a after-tax deduction, but the money grows tax-free. I think it's important to put some of that money away for the future, even if it's $1,000, to just get in that mindset of I'm putting some money away for later. I think that's a real important thing. The other important thing is to keep decent records. This year I had a lot of people who they were like, I made all my payments and I checked with the IRS. It turns out they didn't make their payments. Or I had a person who made their payments, but for the wrong year and they got a refund check back and they cashed it. But now they owe all this money because they didn't actually really pay in. I had a lot of people where they got government money this year, the last couple of years because of the pandemic. They were picking it up as income. They were picking it up in their receipts. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not taxable money. So getting really good receipts and good records so that the accountant can actually make sure that you're not overpaying in tax, and giving you the best tax bill that you can get, which is hopefully a lower one. Although I will say, if you're paying taxes, you're making money, and that's not a bad thing.
Fantastic. You know what? I like your point about record. I'm guilty of that. A friend of mine, he was, practically showing me how he keeps record for tax season. Yeah. Whenever he has a LLC, so whenever, he spend money on his business, he will keep a separate record. I don't think I'm that organized to start keeping those records, but I think that's very, very important if you want to, handle taxes the proper way. So thank you very much for sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about your coaching program. I know you coach people on how to have the right mindset about money. So if someone out there want to become part of your community, what do they need to do in order to, get in touch with you?
Well, they can log into the website, and we've got a whole program about, we've got a 12-week program that will walk you through all of the different components to really help you start to get a sense of what am I holding on to? What are my stories? And we just go through all of that stuff and just really excavate all of the deeply hidden stuff that we carry. Most of us, myself included, right? We run around with all kinds of secrets, hoping we can keep them a secret until the last day, right? We don't want to get exposed and see that we didn't get it right. And so what we do in the course is we actually start looking at what are those secrets that I need to sort of bring to the surface so I can sort of expose them, bring them up and say, wow, that doesn't serve me anymore. Or, okay, I made a mistake and forgive myself and then move on instead of, oh my God, that time when I was 12 or that time when I was 20, I'll never let go of that. Let it go. And so going through that course, there's a Facebook community, and we 2 or 3 times a year, we'll do a 3-month online Zoom meetings where people can just share stories and talk about obstacles and just be heard in a safe space. And that's a great way to do it. You can do it on your own. And then I do one-on-one coaching with people. If people want to start to deal with a specific issue, or especially people that are either getting married or in a relationship where money's become an issue, we work through some of that stuff to give them clarity to make the choices they need to make.
That's awesome, Bob. So guys, you go to moneynav.com so you can log in, create your account, and you start going through the process with Bob. So let's talk about financial therapy, because I know that's one of what you offer. Mm-hmm. So why do we need financial therapy?
Well, the thing is, if we don't know what we're doing unconsciously with our money, we're going to keep doing the same thing over and over. One of the things I first learned when I was doing taxes, I would sit down with people, and I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and businesses, and they'd say, hey, my business is struggling. And we'd come up with a plan. I'd say, if you do this, 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 and this, and then let's meet. And then they wouldn't do it. And then they're in a worst case situation. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? Well, I made a promise and I said I would never do this. And now you're asking me to do that. Or if I close my business, my parents are going to be really disappointed in me. I'm like, okay, but you're going to be bankrupt if you don't take this other choice. And so what I realized was people were operating from their emotions, not from 2 + 2 is 4. And they weren't being logical about it. And so if I couldn't understand where they were coming from emotionally, I couldn't really get in and actually help them financially. And so for a lot of us, people in relationships often forget that they're a team with their partner instead of in competition. I have husbands and wives, there's a meal riding on this bet. Who's right? Who's right? And I'm like, do you want to be right? Or do you want to be in a happy marriage? What do you want?
Valley.
And so when we can start to look at that, I had somebody in a workshop that came to me and she said, my husband's terrible with money and I can't get him to get on board with me. And I need him to do it. And I said, well, probably going in and telling him he's doing it wrong is probably not the best way to engage him.
That's right.
And so maybe you could find a different way. And so we talk a lot about difficult conversations, but to go in and say, hey, honey, I really want to do better in my finances. I'm wondering if you would help me in my journey and maybe we could learn together instead of I need you to step it up. Hey, I'm trying to step it up. Will you accompany me? Mm. And it changed the dynamic because that was a way that then her husband could hear her.
Yeah.
And say, yeah, of course I want to help you. And maybe I'll learn something too. Right.
That's right. No, that's good. So I know you are not all about money, talking about money, how to help people make money. What else do you enjoy doing if you are not talking or coaching or mentoring people about money mindsets?
Well, you're probably referring to the fact that I do stand-up comedy.
Correct.
So, for me, comedy was my therapy, and I think it is for a lot of comics. For me, I know people say that's scary getting up on a stage, but for me, I felt protected by the microphone. And if I said something really mean or something really true and people thought, oh my God, that's awful. I'm like, I'm kidding. Right. So it was a way that I could actually learn to speak my truth in a safe way. And I love making people laugh. I think laughter is so important. I think there's so much going on in the world always. And even now, maybe even extra. We've got to be able to laugh at things. And if we can't laugh at ourselves, I've made so many mistakes. I've done a lot of dumb things. If I can't laugh at it, man, I'm just going to take myself out. And I'd rather be around and having a good laugh and stand around a while.
No, absolutely. I totally get that. From time to time, I like listening to, watching the Comedy Central, listening to people like Stephen Colbert, Trevor Noah, just listen to their jokes. I enjoy those things. But I know that, like you said, maybe some people may be sensitive about all these things. If you look at what recently happened with Will Smith slapping, right, all those kind of things, the other side of, telling jokes. But I think we do need jokes. I just laugh at some things. When we make money mistakes, sometimes you laugh at it and, learn your lesson and, hopefully get better so you won't repeat the same mistake. So that's good. It's good to know that side of you, Bob.
Absolutely. Well, and humor is very disarming. It's a great way to tell a truth. in a playful way.
Yeah.
So I can tell jokes to people when I'm working with them one-on-one, and they'll say, that's a great, oh, you're talking about me. Oh, really? Oh, no, it's just a joke, right? Yeah. It's a way to not make it so harsh, and it lets people relax a little bit so that they can find the humor in their own past choices.
No, that's totally right. So I also see that you've traveled around the world. That's fantastic. And you've been to Africa. Where did you go in Africa?
I've been to Zimbabwe, Kenya, Tanzania, Botswana, and one of the things that Africa was probably just such an enlightening experience for me, because that, regardless of what country I've been to, that is a continent where people are happy. And I was so in the mindset of, you have to have accomplishments, you have to drive a nice car. And I was coming in the first time to Africa, and people were just happy, and they would have given me the shirt off their back or their last Coca-Cola. And I'm like, what's wrong with you people? How can you be so happy? Don't you see? And it really messed with my mind. When I came back, I had to do a lot of thinking about what my priorities were. And it was just a real shift in the way I saw life. I think it's so important for people to travel. But Africa is just a place I hold really dear, because the people just have such big hearts and are just grateful for everything. And I think that gratitude was a really important piece that I've really picked up and carried forward. And so, yeah, if you can go to Africa, go. There's so many beautiful places there, but it's an amazing continent. But I love the rest of the world too. So I've been to Nepal, and I've been to China, and I've been to many, many places. I feel very, very fortunate.
So the Africa story that you just told us resonates very well with me. I'm from Nigeria.
Okay.
And you are right about one thing, many things, specifically one. You said people are happy, and that's totally true. I can attest to that. Yeah, things may not be going the way we plan. We have our struggles. But Africans, for the most part, they are, happy on average. They laugh, they joke, they just do stuff that, get their mind off their struggle. They associate with people, talk to people, and that's kind of fun. And, that can be very, very gracious. So I totally agree with you on that. So, Bob, as we are rounding up on this conversation, we've been talking about money, and I know there are quite a number of people out there that, they still struggle to make ends meet. They still struggle to handle their money the right way. Maybe this may be due to how or what they've learned about money growing up. I want you to share with us what are the healthy relationships that we can have with money from your perspective.
Yeah, I think the question to ask ourselves is, why do I want more? Like, why do I want it? And I mentioned to this before we got on, but I have this: why, what? What do I want? Why do I want it? Why do I want to have more money? And why do I want it? Will it help my family? Will it give me status? Will I get to feel important? Why? And then why don't I have it? Well, there's just been obstacles. I just don't have the energy. Why don't I have it? And then the final question is, what am I willing to do? Am I willing to change my mindset? Am I willing to work a little harder? Am I willing to get up an hour earlier? What am I willing to do? Because so many people have opportunity and then don't take it. You can hand it to them. They'll go, oh, no. I really couldn't receive this until 8:00, and you're going to give it to me at 5:00. So I'm just going to skip it. And so often we walk away from opportunity that's presented to us. And so I think once we can get really clear about, like, why do I want more? What is it? What is it? Then I think we can actually start to then say, okay, here's how we can start to make that happen. And that's what budgeting does. That's what setting goals do. We can then start to make those hopes and dreams into reality by setting timetables, by setting financial caps. I'm going to save this much money and then I can buy the house and whatever it is. But I think we have to start with that question, why? What do I want and why do I want it? Because if we can answer that, if it's really just because I want to be able to be better than my sister or my brother, or I want to be that, maybe that's not such a great reason, or maybe it is, right? It's not for me to say what's right for each person, but if we don't look deep within us and say, well, no, I want to have the fanciest car in town. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But just know what it is, know who you are, and then go for it. It's available to everybody.
I like that. So what, why, and what? So
yeah,
especially I like what you said. What am I willing to do in order to get what I want? Because many people, the society that we have right now, many people, they kind of detest the rich, our politicians, especially, to try to divide people along the wealth line, that the rich are cheating the system, or the poor are not going to be able to rise up and make it. But I think if we can all be more and accomplish more, we just have to ask that question, what am I willing to do? And you clearly stated, the first thing, you have to work, right? And you talk about budgets, you have to control your money. And you talk about goals. You should have goals of how you want to spend your money. And I think these things are very, very important. Thank you very much, Bob, for sharing that with us. I'm going to ask one last question, Bob. When you look at the world that we have today, we've all made some mistakes and we learn from those mistakes. For you as a person, what's, if you can, wave the magic wand, what problem would you like to solve in the world as it is today?
If there was one problem that I would like to solve, it would be the ability for people to forgive each other. Like, if we could all start being a little more forgiving with our parents, with our neighbors, with our kids, with our local citizens that we don't even know, right? If we all could have learned to be a little more forgiving and a little more generous, we could solve so many things. And instead of saying, oh, that's not my problem, I'm going to move to another neighborhood. No, like, learn to forgive and that piece of, compassion that comes with forgiveness, I think is really needed more in the world.
Wow. That is so true. Forgiveness is important. So guys, I hope you found this very, very beneficial. We've been having conversation with Bob Wheeler. He owns the moneynerve.com, and he teaches people how to have the right money emotion and how to have healthy relationship with money. So Bob, I'm going to give you the chance. How can my audience, how can they find you? And I know you host your podcast as well. Yeah. How can they find you? How can they connect with you? Again, you have a book, the Money Nerve book. That is it on Amazon, I believe?
It's on Amazon and bookstores, all those good places. Yeah. The best way to reach me, themoneynerve.com, themoneynerve.com. That's nerve, not nerd. I'm a nerd, but it's the Money Nerve. And that talks about the workshops. It talks about the online program. It talks about the podcast. You can get the book, and there's just a lot of free resources on there for people to utilize without having to pay any money. And we just want people to start having conversations about money.
Awesome. Thank you very much. we
Absolutely.
come to the end of the interview.
This episode of Winner's Ways podcast has come to a close. We hope you enjoy and learn something from today's show. We want you to win and excel in all areas of your life, and we regularly explore and share information with our listeners to empower them to win. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more tips and strategies to help you find the success that you've always dreamt of. And don't forget to rate and review so that we can continue to bring you more podcast episodes to empower you. We will love to have you again next week. Now, keep winning.